Grand Rising, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, and everyone in between. This is the most powerful of all hours. This is the Hour of Power broadcast. I am Ptah Shakur, and like always when I begin any type of publication, when you see this beautiful face here, it's always going to begin with an affirmation. Affirmation is how I get supercharged up in my day to make sure that I'm being a beacon of light and love to everyone in my community. So feel free to write this down, take it as your own. I know my place in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. I am in the upper room. God is, God is, God is. I, Ptah Shakur, I pledge to always look for the best in each and every circumstance and in each and every one, especially starting with myself. I come from love. I am love. And I choose to look at the world through the lens of love. I commit myself to choosing the upper room towards vibrating at the highest level possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am free, I am free, I am free. Behold, I'll make all things new. So that little affirmation, like I said, you can take that with you. What we're going to do, our due diligence right now, is make sure that this is getting out live. So if you want to do a little sound check, we do have a live call-in number. It's a 717-846-5067. So take the next 30 seconds or so and go ahead and grab your veggie straws. Go ahead and grab your little organic drinks and make sure you get a pen and pad because we have a wonderful guest that we're going to get right into very, very shortly. So I'm going to share this to @followers. Facebook should have never told me how to do that one. I know some of y'all are tired of hearing from me, but hey, we got to make sure that we get this message out. Like I said, this is positive, high-level programming. We want to make sure that we get feel-good programming out there. So we got a myriad of things to get yourself involved with, but we're going to do our due diligence to make sure we get this out to everybody. So like I said, this is going out to Peace Elohim King. Look to have you back on the show very, very shortly. Roger Moore as well. Looking to have you back on. Next week, we have Shannon. Her last name does not come to mind right now, but I'll make sure I double back before we get out of here. She will be on next week. She has a wonderful poetry book, and she wants to give it to the family and share this wonderful publication that she has got herself involved in. So, like I said, this is the Hour of Power community program going out live to the White Rose Community Television viewership, as well as this is going out live on Facebook, and then later on it will be downloaded to YouTube. This is a program, if you have any type of entrepreneurial opportunities that became available. We want to hear from our youth. We want our youth to be fully represented. We want to hear those good stories, whether they're going away from college, going in the military, or to have some type of entrepreneurial plan. We want to hear about that as well. We want to hear from different varying opinions and viewpoints. That's the only way that we can unite as a community. We got to hear what's on each other's minds. So in the spirit of that, a couple weeks ago, we did have Miss Jasmine Rivera. She's actually running for the 95th district. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give a round of applause for our guest, Miss Carol Hill Evans, who is now the incumbent, I guess that's the word,
yes,
95th district state representative. So if you wouldn't mind, Miss Carol Hill, share everybody a little bit about yourself and upbringing and things of that nature, and we get into some questions.
Okay, so hello everyone. I am Carol Hill Evans. I am the state representative for the 95th legislative district. And those boundaries include North and West York, Spring Garden Township, as well as York City. I've been in this position for 4 sessions now. This is my 4th session, so my 8th year, because we run every other year. This is a 2-year term. And, goodness.
Just hold for one moment, please. Okay, go ahead, you can finish.
Okay, so born and raised in the city. I am a Bearcat, went to York High, graduated York High, immediately went off to college, to Gettysburg College, which at the time turned out not to be the best idea for me because it turns out I wasn't really ready for college at the time. So
yes,
came home, went to work for Caterpillar Tractor Company, worked there for 27 years. And following that, when they closed the plant, I was able to go right back and finish my college degree. So I did at York Penn State, graduated with a degree in business, human resources, and marketing. So that's my history as far as my education is concerned. I do have a bachelor's degree from Penn State, but also I was raised by a family. I was part of a family of 8. There were 6 children. And we were raised like every other middle class family whose both of my parents worked. They were both blue collar workers. It taught us about good work ethics. They were very huge proponents, as I am, of education. So we all got our education. My father only had an 8th grade education, but at the time, after the right age, he was allowed to go into the military. So he went into the Army. After that, he came back. He met my mom, and they got married and had 6 children. And they worked side by side to give us the things that we needed, to provide a roof over our heads and food in our mouths. And although limited transportation, we all knew that when it came to a certain time, we were going to get a job, go to military, or go on to college. And so those are the ethics that I was raised with. We were in church just about every Sunday. And, you know, we just raised in the AME Zion Church, still standing there on Queen Street. They call Zion, yes.
Yes,
So there, and that's my background. I still attend the same church, still a member of the same church. I attend various churches, but I am still a member there.
Yes,
As a
ma'am.
lifelong member.
Awesome, awesome. And just hearing a little bit about what you were sharing, and what we share on this particular program for the youth is to be generational curse breakers, you know, to actually get involved in activities that is kind of new. So you mentioned as far as your father's, education. Did you have anyone in your family that has ever did political office or anything like of that nature?
My mother had signed up for city council, but it was a whole different process at that time. You just had to fill out an application. It wasn't necessarily elected. You filled out the application, and then if your name was drawn, you got a chance to go on, to go on the ballot. So in that respect, it was actually an elected position, but it was by appointment, and then to have your name put on the ballot. So
Yes, ma'am.
she was the only one. My dad was determined that he knew the importance of education. He had to teach himself how to read.
Okay.
And he just was determined that all of his children were going to get an education, and we all did. All of us are Bearcats. And
Were
so
there any social barriers at that time?
of course, there were social barriers. There were places where we weren't necessarily comfortable, places that we wanted to go. We were the first Black family to move into the 600 block of South Queen Street, if you can believe that, knowing what
Oh,
it
wow.
is now. Yes. And so, yeah, sure, there were barriers. But my parents wanted what they wanted for their family, so they moved those barriers out of the way to get what they wanted, what they thought was appropriate and needed for us in order for us to survive. So, next generation. And we weren't the exception. We were the rule, because that's how the families were then. And even though, mom and dad both worked out of the house, we were raised in a responsible enough way that we knew how to pretty much fend for ourselves. I mean, they were home in the evening, so mom cooked or dad cooked, and we were able to eat and things like that. But when they were gone, we were responsible enough that we could, take care of ourselves, kind of like the latchkey kids of the 80s and 70s. Yes.
This may not be a political question.
That's
but
fine.
You said a key word or phrase. You said that's how families were
Exactly.
back then. What do you think happened from your perspective to family life until now in 2024? What do you think happened to the family structure, which I think we all would agree is what keeps the family together? is the
Exactly.
structure.
So locally, I think it had to do with poverty. It had to do with each one of us wanting more for our children, and not having them have to go through what we went through, right? And so trying to make it better for our kids, and little by little, we made them less self-sufficient, more dependent on us,
Yes,
for things that they wanted, and becoming entitled, and feeling less energized to do, like get an education and things like that. So poverty, drugs on the scene, underfunded school districts, all of those things. And then, even now, moms and dads having to be out because of the economy, and because of the, the minimum wage that we have here in Pennsylvania. They have to work 2 and 3 jobs, right? And so that keeps them out of the
Because it
house.
seemed like we had less opportunity then and more opportunity now, but we seem to be backwards, family,
It feels that way.
community. Even me and Phil, we talk about, back in the day when we were growing up, you could go to your neighbor's house and borrow
Exactly.
some sugar.
Sugar, that's
Someone
right.
is right next to you. I don't even know their names.
Right.
Well, not just me, but other people
No,
said
other
the same
people.
thing. Where it was a community.
It was.
Yeah,
And
community
it was stable.
come together. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
It was stable. These days it's more transient. So you have people moving in and moving out. So before you even know it, you have a new neighbor. You don't know who they are, or they keep to themselves, or, less friendly. So in our neighborhood, we're very fortunate. We did at least have a neighborhood association where neighbors get to know one another. They see what the needs are, how they can help, and just let people know that you're here and you care. So
And the influence of music. Talking about that, rest in peace to my brother Frankie Beverly. When
I know.
This morning, I grew up on
Yes.
that. I would be in the high chair. My mom and dad be having their little party and other things they were doing. But we are one. Golden time of day. Now we're not one, and
The things
all
that
the
people do.
filth and debauchery with the music. But
Yeah.
that growing up on that was.
And then a lot of the regulations have changed. A lot of people wanted deregulation, and so, everything should not be regulated, but there's a need for regulation in some areas, so that when growing up, there were certain words that you just could not hear or say on television, right?
Yeah.
And now,
Or content.
I was
saying-
listening to one
saying-
today. They were effing
saying
this and effing
damn,
that.
Saying damn was like.
I
What did
know.
he say?
What did he say? I know. I know. So it's just a different society than it used to be. And everybody talks about the good old days and, and all of that. I'm glad that we're not back in the good old days, but these good new days need a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
They need a lot of work.
And I do have a political type of question because, like I said, Ms. Riviera was on. And so what we were hearing from the comments that was on Facebook, and I got a real positive comment. When I get back to it, somebody just chimed in about you, but Miss Lisa Kennedy, I'll get to that. He said, good evening. We thank you, Representative Hill Evans, for all you do for the community, the small business funding resources, and your fight to ensure all voices are heard has provided the opportunity to progress. So thank you, Miss Lisa Kennedy. And I can even bear witness, but before I go into my question, about there's some networking opportunities there at the Sarah Allen venue. I think that's about a year or so ago that you helped foster together with individuals in Harrisburg. So I know small business owners here in York, thank you for having that heart to trying to help these small businesses, because they, from what I understand, that is the lifeblood of the economy. And
it really is. And if you can remember, I know back when I was a kid and growing up here, it was about small businesses. Our downtown was just like crazy busy all the time, and there were so many stores from, well, you could name it, anything that you needed. Yes, you could get downtown. And so yes, that was the exactly. So that was what we call BobNet, the Black Owned Business Network, is what we did. But prior to that, we had hosted a luncheon for all women-owned businesses. And so it was, it was very well attended. It was an opportunity for, women-owned business owners to get to know who else was out there and what they were doing and support for one another. And so then we did the Black-owned business. And then last year we did the Hispanic and Latin-owned business, small businesses. And that was huge. That was a hit. Everybody enjoyed doing that. And this year we're doing multicultural. It's going to be multicultural. Okay. And so we're inviting all small business owners to come and join us and get to know who your colleagues are and businesses, and just network. So
absolutely.
Yes, we understand the importance of small businesses, and the fact that this past budget had
gonna-
money.
I
Yes,
was gonna
we
go
had.
into
Yes,
it, yeah.
we had money. We put money in there for small and disadvantaged businesses. This was as a result of some of the things that happened during COVID, and COVID was a tough time. There were some very hard votes that we had to take. I hear about people over this and people over that, but how about people over profits? And that was about saving people's lives. So we had to go to a point where we were losing people every day because of the COVID-19, brand new, people not knowing what to do, but we were looking at all kinds of indicators that said people should be 6 feet apart. They should wear masks. Now, there were people who refused to do that. Some of them are still with us. Some of them are not, unfortunately. But we had to make those hard decisions. And we knew that it was going to affect businesses, but we felt like lives were far more important. That said, there were programs put in place to help to alleviate some of the pain that came along with closing the doors to some of our small businesses. Yes, and so I made sure that our small businesses knew when there was a grant available, when there was the PPP program, where they could go to get the funding in order to stay, solvent while we figured out how to get through the pandemic.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome.
Yeah, you have the comment or?
Yeah. First, before I get to the question, I have Mr. David Wilson. And anybody, this will repeat, anyone who's catching this broadcast, this is a live broadcast here on the White Rose Community Television Channel 16, as well as live on Facebook. If you have any questions, you can feel free to call in. Number 717-846-5067, or go ahead and log a question in the comment section in the Facebook comments. So Mr. Davis Wilson said, first, I want to say thank you for an amazing job you're doing representing the community. My question is, what after-school programs do you have planned for our youths in the inner city?
I personally don't have plans for programs. However, this budget, and I'm going to keep going back to this budget because I think it's important for people to know that out of all of the representatives, I'm going to go to the setup and then I'm going to answer the question.
Yes, ma'am.
But the setup and the makeup of the county is predominantly Republican.
Okay.
The 95th legislative district is the only thing standing between the community and total Republican control. And I say that because it's important to note that all of the things that were in these things that were very good for our communities, that would help our communities and help our schools and provide funding for the programs, the after school and otherwise.
1 second. This is the Hour of Power broadcast. Will you hold for a moment? That's who I'm speaking to?
Thanks, Bobby Simpson.
Bobby Simpson. Okay, will you hold just for about 30 seconds, Mr. Simpson?
And so it's important to note that with all of the good that this budget did, although it was not perfect, it provided answers to a lot of the things. It provided more tax relief, property tax relief for our seniors and those who are disabled. It's money in there for our veterans. There's money in there for our schools. There's money in there for our after-school programs. There's so many things that are good about this budget. And yet, I was the only representative that voted for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Every other representative in York County voted against it. And it turns out that every other representative in the county is a Republican. So it's important to know who you're voting for and what the values are that are associated with that party, and are we delivering? And I'm saying yes, I deliver. I have delivered. I will continue to deliver, and do good things for the community. Not just talk about it, but do it.
Awesome. A lot of information being shared on this particular program, but we're going to go ahead and give respect to the caller that called in. Mr. Bobby Simpson, are you still on the line? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
Doing
Hi.
very well. You're live on television. We can hear you fine. You have any questions or comment?
I don't have any questions, but I just have maybe a comment or two, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
You're doing wonderful. Thank you. And it's good to see your co-host back. It's been a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I'm just calling as Yeah, I'm calling as a longtime resident of York, and I very rarely get involved with politics.
Yes, sir.
But in the past, I've supported both Republicans and Democrats, as long as they are serving the needs of our community. So I don't get involved with the Republicans or the Democratic side of it.
Yes, sir.
But I must tell you, our state representative, Carol Hill Evans, thank you, Carol, for serving your constituents. I've been in this business for 40 plus years, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And, we can say to you, thank you for being involved with the youth of the city of York, the seniors in the city of York, housing in the city of York. And let me just say to you, Carol, you don't have to apologize or explain to your constituents, because we know what you do, and we appreciate it, and you have my vote. Believe me. So again, thank you on behalf of the community that I serve. And I've been in this business for 40 plus years, so I know a little bit again of what I'm talking about. You are doing an excellent job for your constituents. Thank you so much. And good
Thank
night.
you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Simpson.
Thank you for your words. And again, if anyone else who is listening would like to call in, before we get to any more call in, we do have another comment there on Facebook. I think this is quite interesting. Miss Kathleen Lucas asked, she said, she just joined on. She said, one of the frustrations, this hour of power, will you hold for a moment? One of the frustrations, matter of fact, let me just go ahead and get to this call first. I can get to that in a moment. Yes, you are live on the Hour of Power broadcast, man. That's who I'm speaking to. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, got a chance to go ahead and call back. Go ahead and call back in, call in when you get a moment, but...
And then they have to turn their television down.
Yes, and then when you do call in, make sure you turn your, thank you, make sure you turn your listening devices down in the background so it doesn't cause any type of interference. But just Mrs. Kathleen Lucas asked, one of the frustrations Pennsylvanians have is education funding is so uneven. One of the legislators was a co-chair of the group charged with reviewing the system. She wanted to know how that turned out.
What was it?
About the educational funding. I said one of the legislators was a co-chair of that group. Co-chair
Co-chair or co-sponsor?
Co-chair of the group. I guess a group that was looking into educational funding.
Okay.
I don't know if you know or aware of that, but she just want to know questions as far as educational funding and why it's so uneven. I guess that's the crust of her question.
Because over the years, there's a program called Hold Harmless, and this is not the only thing, but this is one of the things that affects how schools are being funded. First of all, let's be sure that we understand that schools are funded through property taxes. And so while we would all like to make sure that those property taxes are eliminated, we would need to come up with $14 billion with a B, $14 billion to fund all of our schools.
Okay.
And there are 500, not 700 and some, but there are 500 school districts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so some of them are funded, our schools are funded as a result of property taxes, as I said, right now, and it's a flawed system, so that's why we took steps to try to improve it. And so those school districts where there are lots of home ownership, okay, and that's right. And so those schools are better funded than, and especially our urban schools, because our urban schools and our urban districts offer more services. But that means lots of nonprofits, so lots of nonprofits that are not paying property taxes.
I see.
Okay, so that's why, and so we've been woefully underfunded by the state. We have a lot of services and a lot of 501Cs, and I love them. I'm not talking against them. I'm just talking, this is the way it is, okay?
Facts.
This is the law, and 501C designation is federal, not state. But anyway, we have those, lots of those organizations that offer services to our residents that are really, really needed, but they're not paying property taxes. And so the city, in order to compensate and accommodate our schools, have to raise the taxes. So once there is equal funding, and it just got worse, these were holes that we just kept digging ourselves in deeper and deeper by underfunding schools. And then we came up with this program called Hold Harmless. And what that is we recognize that there's a shift in population from district to district. And so when those students are moving from, let's say, one school district to another school district, whatever that looks like. I forgot where I was going with that. About the funding, okay, yes. And so when they're moving, the school district still gets those same dollars, okay? And so they're saying that this hold harmless means that if a school district was receiving $1 million for 1,000 kids, and then the next year they only have 500 kids, they still get that $1 million.
Okay.
That's called hold harmless. They don't want the school district where the students are leaving to suffer. But in the meantime, these students are going into a different school district, and where's the funding? Where's the money going to come from? And so that's why the taxes are going up and up. So it took a court case in order for, and I think Kathleen may have been talking about Mike Sterla. He's a representative out of Lancaster who was in charge of fair funding, along with some other representatives, and it was bipartisan. The committee was bipartisan, and even at that, we failed to get to where the court said we needed to be. So what we did basically was just make a down payment.
Okay.
In no way did, even though it was an extra $1.1 million, billion with a B, dollars towards education, it still isn't enough. We have a long way to go, because as I told you, in order for us to eliminate it, we'd have to have a replacement of $12 to $14 billion.
I see the math behind it.
One quick thing. I'm not trying to sway anyone any particular way with votes, but could you repeat what you said a couple minutes ago about the voting for the funding of the public schools, and you, as your position, were the only one to vote for it, and everything else was controlled by the other side? Could you repeat that? I think that's very significant, especially if someone is maybe not know which way to go, but it is what it is.
Yes, but I just want it to be clear and on the record that I am not asking anyone to switch parties. What I am asking is that as you are deciding and researching and seeing who it is that you're going to vote for, it's important to know what the values are behind the party that person is a part of. That's right. You have to know their agendas, you have to know their policies, you have to know their values, and you have to know if those values are the same values as what you have. Are they going to represent your community? Do they have the ability to represent their community? Because when you get to the Harrisburg, the state level, like it or not, it is partisanship. There are two parties. It's the way the system's set up. Doesn't mean it can't be changed, but it would take a constitutional amendment in order for that to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is constitutional.
Thank you. Thank you for your words.
Our power.
You are live on the Hour of the Power, man. That's who I'm speaking to.
Hi, good evening.
Here you go. Hi. You're loud and clear, and you're live on TV. Master, get your first name, please.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Kayla Sanchez.
Yes, ma'am.
I like to say that I have very good experience seeing Miss Evans working with the Hispanic community, and she is one of the person that doesn't matter what time, it doesn't matter if you knock the door, she always take the time to listen to us. She always take the time to support the family. And I'm so proud to have a person that represents us in the position that she is doing right now, because always she's willing to help everybody. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's there for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you for your words. Appreciate you.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. And like I said, this is a live call-in show. We're going to be on for about another 30 minutes or so. So if you want to go ahead and call in, 717-846-5067. But I did want to kind of... Okay. We're going this word is for the community. So this is community first. So
Hour of Power, who's calling?
Hi, this is Dr. Sherry Washington. How are you?
Hey, Miss Sherry, how you doing?
Good. Thank you. I wanted to just speak on behalf and thank Representative Carol Hill Evans for all of her work. First, for helping all the nonprofits in the area, making sure that we're aware of the grants that are often hidden.
yeah.
I've had the pleasure to witness her help all groups access to the grant money. The Post 127, the Veterans Clubs. She reaches out when she thinks there's something out there that can help your organization thrive. But I want to especially let people know about her fight to ensure that all students have access to an equitable public education funding. When Representative Hill Evans took the seat, the formula of education was antiquated, old, and just old. She saw that, she heard our cry, and she put the footwork in to start getting the people to see that that needed to be changed. Even though she's no longer on the education committee, she still was there for that fight. And so when the Republicans came back and came up with, and some Democrats, the school vouchers, and wanted to take money from the public school pocket and give to the school voucher scholarships, we sat and talked with her, PSEA, NAACP, Public Law Center. She listened, and we explained why that was not equitable, because even though vouchers are nice, the history of vouchers was ranked in racism and segregation, but more so, sending that money to private schools doesn't guarantee that all students are going to get into those schools or that all students are going to learn how to read. And she fought to make sure that this money stays in the public school and that holding public schools accountable for making sure they're spending the money right.
Okay.
Because she took that courage and had that conversation with our governor, it was her efforts that encouraged our governor to hit pause on that button. So thank you, Representative Jill Evans.
I'll take that promotion, but no, thank you.
You're not moving.
Thank you.
Oh, we're forecasting, you know. But let's re-elect her right now for 95, because we need you to keep fighting for our kids. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Yep, you're welcome. Thanks for the wonderful calls and the comments, and I'm going to try to get to the comments at the very end, but I do want to kind of get to a question that we kind of heard, a concern that was coming up. For one, was about the school choice, and I think that's kind of arranged to the public school, and it's, when she was saying the school vouchers, I think, is she speaking about the school choice? Is that the same thing?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of?
Kind of, sort of,
Okay.
yes. The vouchers, I think what we're talking about is it was a program, it was a $300 million program for school vouchers. And what it was, I'm not even sure about what it was supposed to do, but I think it was sold as the ability to be able to get a certain amount of money, and so that enough for tuition that you could send your child wherever you wanted to send your child. So it's a little like the EITC program, which is our tax credit program. It allows employers and companies, businesses, instead of paying taxes, they get a credit, and those credits go towards allowing their scholarships that allow students in underfunded schools to be able to go to a different
I
school.
understand by using that aspect. of it.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you for clearing that
Thank
up.
you for holding our power. Who's calling? Hello? I think it's like a delay.
Here it go.
Oh.
Yes, this is the Hour of Power live call-in show. May I ask who I'm speaking to? Okay.
We might have missed
Not a
him. I
problem.
didn't hit speaker. You can call back if you're watching live.
Right. So then the other thing that we kind of took notes on from the last previous individual that's looking to be represented, they was asking about homelessness. Would you, are there any solutions that you can share with the viewing public as far as what we can do with the homeless population here in the city?
Yes, the same budget that only I voted for contains, and like I said, it contains a lot of really good things. It was not by any means a perfect budget, but there were a lot of issues that we were in the Commonwealth dealing with that we heard our constituents say, we're having issues with this. We see the numbers. We're out there in the streets. We're knocking on doors. I'm walking the streets. So I'm recognizing that there's an increase in homelessness. Our veterans are homeless. Our children are homeless. Our seniors are homeless. So in this budget, there was a $5 million, which is not near enough, but it's $5 million that would be part of the Homeless Assistance Programs, HAP, which is the Homeless Assistance Program.
Okay.
And those dollars can be used to help people who are on the verge of being evicted stay in their homes. If it's through financial education, because some people buy a home, they think they can handle it. It turns out that they can't, or they could at the time, lost their job went away for whatever reason, and then life took over. And so they were at risk for becoming homeless. So these dollars will keep them in their homes. It will also help keep seniors in place in their homes so that they don't have to, the taxes are high. York City pays the highest taxes in York County, okay? And for whatever reason, some of it is because of the services that we provide in lieu of, paying property taxes.
Correct.
And so it's tough and it's rough. Here's the good part. This budget, every single one of the 4 school districts, and in the 95th, I have all of York City School District. I share West York School District. I share Central School District, and I share Suburban School District. Every single one of those 4 school districts were able to receive money as a result of this budget, and yet every Republican voted no.
Interesting.
That's, you have to know what's going on. And
That's what I was referring to
yes,
earlier.
could be, yes. Yes. And so while it wasn't a perfect budget, it was a step in the right direction.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
addressed so many of the needs of our citizens and our districts. And so it's important to know what the agenda is for the party in which the representative is a part of. And so I serve everyone. No one can ever walk into my office and be questioned about what party they're in. It doesn't matter. We serve everyone. We have actually had people, when we ask for their address, because we do need to have their address, they're not even part of our district, but they don't want to go to the representative that they have, so they come to us. Now, because they're not really our constituent, we will give them whatever resources are available. We reach out to the proper or the correct representative to let them know that we have served one of their constituents. We give them the information and let them know what the issue is, and then ask them to reach out to the constituent for further assistance. But we do everything that we can to make sure that anybody walks into that office is given information. We go as far as we can. It's important to note that there are certain things that this position cannot do. We are the state level. So I'm going to say I have a bill that would require civics in order to graduate. Why?
That was one of my favorite classes.
I loved it. I loved it. And why? Because it tells you how government works.
Yeah.
It tells you the levels of government. It tells you what the responsibilities of those levels in each one of the government, what it means, what you can do and what you can't do. In this position, we cannot act as an attorney. And in fact, if somebody comes to us and there's either litigation or an attorney involved, we're out. We cannot we can't do that because the residents would end up paying if there was a lawsuit. So why would we do that, right? And plus, we're not lawyers, and so we're not supposed to be giving advice. What we are is a resource, pretty much, center, okay? And that's what we do in our district offices. When people come in and we resolve, we have all kinds of things that we do. We work hard for the citizens in our district. And I'm not going to try to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm just saying, when I got to Harrisburg, people kind of sort of knew about York. Now they know about York. Now I've been able to bring those folks who are making decisions at the leadership level into this district so we can get those dollars so they can see what we're doing and they can see the importance. And they have those conversations with the constituents and they listen. And we make things happen. It's my advocacy when I know that, like somebody like a Kids Space or the African American History Center or the other History Center or the Yorktown Hotel, and the list goes on and on. It's been over $100 million in the 8 years that I've been there that I've been able to bring into this district, not just the city of York, but the district. Beautiful. So that includes handheld radios for Northern Regional Police, trying to get the money through the RACP dollars and grant in order for them to build a new center, helping get funding for extra people in the 911 call center. All of those things are things that have happened as a result of me being the representative. And it's for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you for the education.
That's okay. Sure.
We're talking about a lot of local things, which is very pertinent to us as citizens.
Mm-hmm.
But just shifting gears real quick, what was your opinion of the debate last night?
I loved it.
You did?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it showed. I thought it was educational enough that if you didn't know what you weren't paying attention to what was going on, it was a way of learning what was going on, listening to both sides. I thought there was. I thought it was well done.
Okay.
I thought it was well done.
Oh.
Yes. I thought it was well done.
We do have another question. We've got about 15 more minutes. Miss Lisa Kennedy says, this sounds like a little personal question. How have your decades of community service prepared you to effectively serve in your PA state representative role? I ask this because the community is fully aware that you have always rolled up your sleeves and gotten to work done on our behalf, and we thank you. So our question is, how has the decades of community service prepared you to effectively serve as a PA representative role?
By becoming the kind of public servant that can get things done. So, and I just want to say, you don't always have to be an elected official to do things for your community. You both know that. You both know
absolutely.
that. If you're really involved in your community, you're out there in your community. You're planting rose bushes when there's a call for rose bushes. Right. You're getting dirty. You're on your hands and knees. You're planting trees during, Arbor Day?
Yes.
Yes. Those kinds of things. In the parks, within your districts. You're in the schools. You're at their events. Not just simply because you're running for office, but because it's what you do. It's how you are a good representative for your constituents. It's those conversations, those constant conversations over the years. It's about building trust, and that comes with time. And I've been able to build that trust. So that's how those years have served. I've been able to see some really things that need to be corrected and need to be fixed because I'm in touch with and I'm forming relationships with school districts, with their administrators, with their teachers, with their unions, but most importantly with their students. And I'm telling you, I'm proud of our students. Our students are they know what's, I mean, they are.
Yes.
They're very informed, and they're very eager to make changes.
Yes,
So I'm in all 28 of the schools, you
Yeah, I
know, in the
I've seen you.
district. And so
I've seen you at a couple of them.
yes, yes. And so
I can
I'm
bear
talking
witness.
to them, and it's important for our students to know that it's more than just their parents and their teachers. There's actually someone else in the community who has your back,
Yes, ma'am.
who wants to hear what you have to say, who can take those ideas and turn them into something that would benefit our children and our schools.
Right. Yes, ma'am. And I can certainly bear witness to that because I've seen you go into the youth build charter schools and share those words, you know, with the students. And one of the things that and individuals like Shareef and I, we fully believe in our youth is to unlock the greatness in them. And so by exposing them to wonderful individuals and opportunities, I constantly think when they lay their head down at night and they start to review their day and kind of, you know, review their day and having an individual like you share that like motivation and all that inspiration with them, I know it's going to have a profound effect in the future. But I do have a little softball question. If you could say a message to your younger self, what message would you give your younger self from what you've gathered in this world?
So as a kid, I was bullied, physically bullied.
Yes, ma'am.
I can remember being in my cute little cheerleader outfit and literally getting my butt kicked. That hurt my feelings. It made me not ever want to participate in anything, and I ran scared for a very long time. In fact, I would run home from school just so nobody would know that I had left, and they could like chase me and, you know, get. My mom always knew. She said she could set the clock by when I was getting home because I would always be the first one there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it made me feel kind of ashamed that I wasn't brave enough to stand up for myself.
Yes, ma'am.
But I found that standing up for others, I had a cousin who had alopecia when alopecia was not even a thing, right? And he was always bullied. He was always teased. And it was like I could stand up for him and try to shield him, but I couldn't do that for myself. And so actually I'm going to brag a little bit because I was part of Essence magazine. There was an article that was done by our Speaker of the House, and she included me as part of that. And she was asking that very question. So it's been published, right? And and they said, what would you do? Write a letter to your younger self. And my letter to my younger self was, you already know, you already have your spirit in place. Use it. Don't be afraid of what somebody's going to say, and always be willing to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. So stop running, right? Stop running from and start running to.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's what I do. I run to issues. I run to problems. I run to the community. I ask for their help. I ask for their support, which they've given me, you know, for all of these years. And so that's what I'd say. Don't be afraid. And one of my favorite expressions is go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what I say at all the graduation, that I tell the kids all the time. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Don't be afraid. You know, reach out and get people, surround yourself with people who are going to support you and lift you up and help you to get to your dreams. So.
Absolutely.
That's such a big issue in school. Like, I'm a therapist in the school system now, all around the county, and that issue hasn't went anywhere. If anything, it's gotten worse because probably during your time, we didn't have the social media aspect.
Yeah,
so I do classes on social media bullying,
Yes.
which is separate from in-person
Right.
bullying. It's another aspect now on top of bullying. So what you went through, it probably has you be, very empathetic to
I can
what's
understand.
going on now.
Oh,
'cause
yes.
it's magnified.
Yes. And whether it's verbal or whether it's physical, it hurts the same.
Social.
It does. It really hurts the same. And so, again, we were just able to get over $3 million for York City School District that would help them in buildings, helping with their HVAC, helping with all of the things that nobody wants to sit in a hot classroom.
Yeah,
Or they would, in the
studies have
wintertime,
shown,
they
like,
don't, yes.
if the temperature is over a certain level, like what that means to the
You're not
cognitive
learning,
process.
right? You're not learning. So we were able to get that money for them. That would help, help them get those buildings fixed. So when these children go to school, they're in classrooms that are similar to the classrooms at, say, like a Central or a Suburban or a West York, right? And so it helps with their self-esteem to know that they're not sitting in a classroom that only has windows, and you're reliant on, the Lord's grace to give you a cool day on a hot, cool weather on a hot day, and vice versa. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and then there are some of the other dollars that are going to be used to help with hire social workers, to get more social workers in our schools.
I was about to
Because
ask
yes, because we know that it's needed. Our kids are traumatized
Yes, ma'am.
from as a result of COVID, which is no fault of their own. But it changed. It changed their attitude. It changed their desire, not just kids, but society as a whole. We have people now that don't necessarily want to go to work. They've got used to not, having to go to work. Or it's created kind of like a hybrid society where you, can or don't have to.
Even once they do go to work, they have their pajamas on.
And then there's that, yeah. And then
It's
there's
a new world.
It is, and you know what? You have to be willing to go with the flow and
Meet 'em where they're
change so that you can help where and when it's needed.
So, real quick, so are you saying that more funds are available for counseling and therapy for mainly students in the inner city, which I think they really needed?
Yes, absolutely. So there's money. There was money in the budget for after-school programs, which has helped, and that's what kids tell me all the time. We don't have anything to do after school. What are we going to do? So there's money in there to address that. There's also money in there for additional staff and personnel. Hopefully raises for our teachers, because our teachers are woefully paid, as you both know. And so we want to get the best teachers that we can for our dollars and for our students, like everybody else has.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
One more question on that. Is there anything that, I think you've already answered this, that's going on in the community to help the mental health of the students? Because when I was in school, I went to school kind of late, but when I got my degree in counseling, it was a term that was very offensive, but if you look at it, it talked about the relationship of education and inner city children, and they called it hood disease, saying that children are so used to violence in the community that 30 to 50% of inner city students are going to be at a deficit of learning, and it's worse than being a soldier in the war. And they call it hood disease.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of people never heard of it before.
That's a new term for me.
Yeah, you can
It
Google
is.
it. And
Oh, no, I will. Trust me.
It'll come up. So anything in the actual community away from school, I think you've already answered that.
Yes, the after-school programs, but also there's money that municipalities can apply for that would help them with gun violence intervention, which is huge.
Absolutely.
And York City has a model of how it could be done, and it's had, what I'm told is it's had huge success.
Heard about it.
And so it's actually been awarded, and they want to use it in other places. So it helps, but it costs money. And so, and it takes people, more than just one person.
True.
And so there is money for gun violence intervention in our schools, but in our communities as well.
That's great.
It is. Last thing I want to say, well, not last, but I do also want to acknowledge that people pay attention to what you do and how you do it, even when you don't realize that they're paying attention.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then there's a lot of things about this whole political area that people are just not paying attention to. You have to pay attention more than when it's time for an election.
Yes,
you have to pay
absolutely.
attention to what's going on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis, and how to improve those, those things. But I've been blessed to get endorsements as I have been running over the years and even now. So I've been endorsed by AFSCME, which is municipal employees. Their organization has endorsed me. The AFL-CIO, which as we know are labor jobs, so they have endorsed me. The IAFF, which is our firefighters, have endorsed me. PSEA, which is our Education Association, and CASA in Action, which is our state level Hispanic, predominantly Hispanic organization that has endorsed me, and PA SNAP, which is our nurse practitioners.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And allied partners, they have endorsed me. The farmers, which is agriculture. We don't think about agriculture enough,
That's a big one.
and particularly as Black and brown people, who we know how to farm. We all have our little gardens in the backyard,
Sure
and
do.
that's what we're used to. And yet, on a large scale, many of us are being ignored or overlooked, and we're not getting in there with those agricultural dollars. If in fact the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania decides at some point that they are going to legalize adult use recreational marijuana, it's going to have to go somewhere.
Right.
And if we're not ready and we're not prepared,
Go right over.
that's right, it's going to go around us, through us, and we're going to miss out.
Yes, ma'am.
It's agriculture. Agriculture is Pennsylvania's #1 revenue resource. Did you know that? Agriculture, right? So our farmers, our farms, our crops, all of those, that's our #1 moneymaker is agriculture. And next is tourism. So we just have to pay attention to what's going on. These organizations have been paying attention. My voting record is a public record, so if anybody ever wants to know how I voted, they can just go online and say, how did she vote? And you can see my voting record, which I'm proud of. It wasn't always easy, but I'm proud of it because I was able to get so much and so many resources to the people that need it the most here in the 95th District. That's more than just the city of York. As you know, it's West York, North York, and Spring Garden. Every single one of those areas, I've been able to serve and to help. And it doesn't matter that they're R's or D's. It just matters that they need help. And so we were able to. Our seniors, with the expansion of the property tax rent rebate, my office is considered an ultra high performing office. So for all district offices, we're like number 1 through 5.
Yes, ma'am.
We're in that 1 through 5 group. We serve the second highest number of seniors and disabled with our property tax rent rebates. And now with the expansion, we have seniors that were capped at $650 as a rebate. Now that can go up to $1,000. We've had them where their household income had to be at a certain level. And if they would get an increase in their Social Security, that would knock them out of the program. So now we've made it so that that can't be counted against them when they do get an increase in their Social Security. And the household income has gone from $35,000 up to $45,000. And we're looking to expand it even more. But we've been able to bring in an additional, I don't want to give a number, but a lot more families and a lot more seniors that have been eligible because of the expansion of that one program. So that, I'm really proud of that. I was one of the co-prime sponsors on that bill, and I feel good about that. So, yes.
Good stuff. Great stuff. So thank you all for joining in. We're coming to a close very, very shortly. We just want to thank Ms. Carol Hill Evans, 95th State Representative. And I just want to make a quick announcement for next Wednesday, Ms. Shannon Conaway Garcia, wrote a wonderful book of poetry called The Love Letters that she wants to bring to the family and bring to everybody and share these wonderful writings and publication that she shares. So, like I said, this is the Hour of Power broadcast. This is a program for the community, by the community. So if you have any type of ideas or any type of things that you would like to promote that help to uplift our community through education, inspiration, or motivation, feel free to reach out to Shareef Hameed or myself, Ptah Shakur. You can reach me on Facebook, or you can reach me on Gmail, ptahshakur@gmail.com. And so, like I said, this is a weekly program. Every Wednesday, we're going out live from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the White Rose Community Television Network, as well as on Facebook. And any words before we close it out?
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to come and to, spread the word and to just let people know how it really is.
Absolutely. Thank you for the education. I know there's
Sure.
quite a few individuals that I know that is watching that has kind of been turned away from politics as a way, but the way of you explaining things on the local level at least, I think it'd be very, very beneficial. But so, like always, we're asking everybody to find your heaven on earth. Find that peace inside of your heart. If you need, we need your 5 friends. You show me your 5 closest associates, I can predict your future. So we need individuals for our success team. So if you find yourself looking to gravitate and better yourself in a row of habits in your life, changing your diet around, getting involved in exercise, just looking to promote the best version of yourself. If you can't find anybody, reach out to Shareef Hameed or myself. We would be glad to give you certain resources that can help you on your way. Because we need peace of mind in this particular time and days. And so even if going out for a walk, doing some nature walks, I find that to be very, very beneficial. But I promise when you do find your peace on earth, you'll get in contact with the God divine that's within. And when you do get in contact with that God divine within, let's all just do a small snippet. Give a little bit to your fellow human beings. Definitely for the youth. If you're over the age of 30, you got something to say to them. Stop being scared of them. Go ahead and open your mouth and say something to them. So we can actually do what we can to actually bring forth a harmonious planetary experience that we are all willing to hope. But it's going to take work, not just for our representatives, but everybody, you and I. So like I said, this is Ptah Shakur here at the Hour of Power, and love and light to you all.